Agad a Haharlach. Bhailam Ardus, Fáilte Chor Riv Agandina and Shaw Inu, Mar Dirch Macfearish, is a Shaw Hyundana Achina Isnifa in Erin Inu, Ach in a Will Horta, Wolfe Tone, Kyon Dana Ahar, Publicanikish in Erin. On behalf of the Peadar O'Donnell Socialist Republican Forum, I would like to welcome everybody here, friends, comrades, to this, what Patrick Pearse once described as one of the most sacred spots for republicanism in Ireland. You're very welcome, thank you for coming, and the Peadar O'Donnell Forum extends a hearty welcome to you all and express our gratitude to you. This is a momentous occasion when the Forum, which is drawing inspiration from the Republican Congress of the 1930s, and hence we have with us today that very inspirational banner, Break the Connection with Capitalism, and also the inspirational slogan, Break the Connection with Imperialism, to encompass the spirit of the United Irishmen, typified by Wolfe Tone, to unite Catholic, Protestant and Dissenter, to make progress on this island with the progressive forces, to bring about a democratic change, to bring about a democratic society, to bring about a democratic and sovereign republic on this island where the people are in charge and not those that work for profit, privilege or self-advancement. So, and I'll hand you back to the chairperson, Eugene McCarthy.
The vision of an Ireland, what they offered to the Irish people, still has to be fulfilled today. The concept of a united, sovereign, socialist, democratic republic is the goal which we strive to achieve. We believe to be in the full tradition of the Tone and the United Irishmen. We'll have a reading of the proclamation by Frankie Quinn from the 1916 Societies.
Public na Hurran, the provisional government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and the dead generation from which he receives her old tradition of nationhood. Ireland through us summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisations, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizens' Army. Having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment and, supported by her exiled children in America and by the gallant allies of Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted that right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and all of its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government who have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Kant, James Connolly, and Joseph Plunkett. Go Mila Mayoga.
You can see from the historical lineage of the 1916 proclamation, when Tone wrote his arguments on behalf of the Catholics of Ireland, aimed principally at the Ulster dissenters, Tone's pamphlet called for the unity, fraternity, tolerance, without which the government would play upon the terrors of Protestants, the hopes of Catholics, and the balance of one party by the other, to plunder and laugh at the defeat of both. Imperialism continues to divide and rule our country. Anyway, next time we have a poem written by Thomas Davis in honour of Wolfe Tone, and I call upon Laura Duggan to recite the poem.
Tone's grave. In Bodenstown churchyard there is a green grave, and widely around it the winter winds rave. Small shelter I ween in the ruined walls there, when the storm sweeps down on the plains of Kildare. Once I lay on that sod that lies over Wolfe Tone, and thought how he perished in prison alone. His friends unavenged, and his country unfreed, oh bitter, I cried, is the patriot's need. For in him the heart of a woman combined, with heroic spirit and a governing mind. A martyr for Ireland, whose grave has no stone, his name seldom named, and his virtues unknown. I woke from my dream by the voices and tread of a band who came into the home of the dead. They carried no corpse, and they carried no stone, and they stopped when they came to the grave of Wolfe Tone. They were students and peasants, the wise and the brave, and the old man who knew him from cradle to grave. The children who thought me hard-hearted, for they, on that sanctified sod, were forbidden to play. The old man, who I saw was mourning there, said, "We come, sir, to weep where young Wolfe Tone is laid. We're going to raise him a monument to, a plain one, yet fitting, the simple and true." My heart overflowed, and I clasped his old hand, and I blessed him and blessed every one of his band. Sweet, sweet 'tis to find that such faith can remain to the cause and the man so long vanquished and slain. In Bodenstown churchyard there is a green grave, and freely round it let winter winds rave. Far better they suit him the ruin and gloom, till Ireland a nation can build him a tomb.
Not often that the hymn that will be sung now, as it has been performed here at Wolfe Tone. Some people might think it's a strange song to be sung here. But Mel Corrie will sing the International. But if one goes back to the history of the United Irishmen, they were deeply internationalists. They were deeply committed to the struggle for justice and solidarity across the world. It is fitting because Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen were inspired by the great revolutions of the United States and France. They were inspired by the radical ideas that were being propagated by people like Thomas Paine and the rights of man. They drew upon the great revolutionary thoughts of that period, adapted them to Irish conditions, applied the lessons of history. So the International is one of those songs, as the songs of the labour movement. And Thomas Russell, we must remember, Thomas Russell, one of the founders of the United Irishmen, was a dedicated and consistent anti-slavery campaigner. He abstained from confectionery products because they were made from sugar from the West Indies. He wrote passionate letters to the Northern Star and the Belfast Telegraph declaring that every lump of sugar I see, a drop of human blood. He identified the fact that slavery exists for the sole purpose of contributing to the luxury and avarice of Europeans. And he denounced the slave traders and introducing the vices of Europe, fraud, war and desolation among the peoples. Does that not today call out to us, the militant Gallatin people of Palestine, who have called for a boycott of apartheid Israel? To support the boycott is in the best traditions of Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen. To stand shoulder to shoulder with the heroic peoples of Venezuela and the mighty and small anti-imperialist country of Cuba is in the best traditions and goals of the United Irishmen and Wolfe Tone. So, Mel, if you come and render the International.
Arise, you starvelings, from your slumber. Arise, you prisoners of want. For reason in revolt now thunders. At last ends the age of cant. Away with all your superstitions. Servile masses, arise, arise. We'll claim forthwith the old conditions. Spurn the dust to win the prize. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face. The Internationale unites the human race. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face. The Internationale unites the human race.
The next speaker, the oration will be delivered by John Douglas. The steering committee of the Peadar Forum took the decision that there's a number of organisations and individuals involved in the forum. We wanted to be inclusive as much as possible, to have to carry out in word and deed the thrust of the forum is about bringing unity to all progressive forces in this island, because only through unity of the people, unity of progressive forces, that we can mount and the challenge to imperialism and to defeat the imperialist domination of our country, north and south. So one of the way we came about was to invite John Douglas, who is one of his union, has been to the forefront and one of the most important political struggles in the last number of years in regards to water. The water struggle which has brought tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people onto the streets in every community, in every town and village in this country. Also, that union, which represents tens of thousands of low-paid workers, has been involved in very, very intense industrial struggles with some of the major British and global corporations of Tesco's and Dunnes Stores. So it's fitting that John will be asked to speak. Someone who's always been spoken on progressive platforms, who's always taken a stand for progressive issues. It's important that he would speak to this great gathering in Wolfe Tone, because it's a long time since trade unions gathered at this graveside. It's about building the links between the social and the national movements, with the rights of workers and the rights of our people to sovereignty, democracy and independence. So John, you have the floor.
Brothers and sisters, comrades, I'd just like to thank the Peadar Forum for the invite. It has been too long that the trade union movement has been absent from this event and from Wolfe Tone commemorations. Our national freedoms were defined by the United Irishmen in terms of citizenship, the responsibility of the state to its citizens, and the responsibility of all citizens to the welfare of each other. It was not narrow. It was based on the principles of the French Revolution: liberty, equality and fraternity. Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen fought for liberty, not only for Catholics, but for dissenters, such as Presbyterians, Quakers and other oppressed religious minorities. The United Ireland of Wolfe Tone, Fitzgerald, McCracken and later of Connolly was egalitarian. It made no tilt towards religion. They had no interest in a United Ireland subjugated by religion, monarchy, class, privilege or capital. The unification of Ireland was not a geographical project of narrow nationalism, rather a unification of the disenfranchised and the impoverished, against the tyranny of colonialism, British imperialism and capital. Clearly the vision of Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen has not yet been fulfilled, nor has Connolly's. The Ireland of Ireland is divided by sectarianism, inequality and exploitation. This is not an economic accident, but through economic design. Ireland has been subjugated by neoliberalism and by global capitalism. Our domestic sovereignty has been sacrificed at the altar of capital. A recent experience in the Republic of Ireland of US or EU imposed austerity and the plunder of our national wealth, the stripping bare of our social provision should be a lesson to all and a rallying cry for all to unite and to mobilise. Our housing crisis, our healthcare crisis, the level of poverty and deprivation in Ireland are a direct result of the interests of global financial capital being allowed and facilitated by our government to trump the needs of the well-being and rights of our own citizens. Our weak and subservient national parliament at Dáil was no match for neoliberal federal Europe, which was able to dictate that all banks were too big to fail and Irish citizens should shoulder the burden of 40% of all European banking debt. The result of which can be seen every night in the doorways and shop fronts and the back lanes of Dublin, where thousands huddle to shelter for food, and in the cheap hotels and bed and breakfasts, where growing numbers of homeless families are exiled to exist, out of sight and out of mind. The phony Brexit debate, whether in Belfast or Dublin, London or Brussels, takes no account of these homeless families or those living in poverty. A hard border or a soft border is of little consequence to the oppressed and the marginalised. The Brexit debate will be decided within the capitalist and neoliberal framework, which has no moral compass and is only driving forces to protect capital and those who benefit from it. But during the Brexit debate in the UK, the narrative was often blatantly racist, fascist indeed, and based on the notion of one race or one religion being superior to another. The post-Brexit debate on this island has often taken on a sectarian nature, or indeed one of narrow nationalism. There is little or no consideration for those that the current political and economic construct has failed miserably. Too many are seeking to use the opportunity to further nationalist or sectarian interests both here and in the UK. In the absence of a socialist narrative and debate, the void is filled by rhetoric and division, by manoeuvring and cheap political tricks, all which progress nothing, just deepen divides. Countering sectarianism, naked nationalism, or supremacy of any kind, courting sectarianism, naked nationalism or supremacy of any kind is playing with the devil. And we have seen in the United States, Trump pandering to the far right and fascists has given oxygen and confidence to those to come out of the bowels of humanity. What happened in Charlottesville is a direct consequence of this appeasement of racism and supremacists. We also know in this island of many Charlottevilles, which were fueled also by hatred and prejudice. We must fight fascism wherever we find it. We must fight supremacy and sectarianism wherever we find it, be it in Ireland, be it in the UK, Palestine or the United States. A new Ireland is possible, an Ireland of equals, of opportunities for all, of fraternity, a united socialist republic, that of Tone and Connolly. And indeed, in the words of Connolly, we are Republicans because we are socialists. The left and other progressive forces in Ireland need to unite around a clear socialist republican vision. We need to set out clearly what we are in favour of, not just what we're against. We do not have the luxury to dance on the pinheads of differences and ideological differences. In the UK, Corbyn was able to set out clearly the policy platform for a decent future, a better society for all UK citizens. It was by no means radical. It spoke about a universal national health service, about nationalising public services, the right to a decent job, a decent home, a bit of dignity and respect. We in Ireland on the left have not been good at this. Rather, we divide, splinter and attack each other rather than uniting to convince citizens of what is possible. The mass mobilisations of communities around the water charges and privatisation of water resources is an example of what actually is possible. Yes, it was more than about water, but water is a symbol of life. The protests were about life, about hope, about a vision, about citizens collectively taking control and proclaiming that another Ireland is possible. The Right to Change movement, which emerged from the water movement, is attempting to bring together left progressives to unite around an agreed policy platform. Over 100 candidates in the last general election in the Republic supported the Right to Change policy platform, 33 of which were elected. There is an untapped hunger for change and justice that we need to give expression to, and we can only do this through unity. The gross and perversive inequalities that so profoundly scar our society are as much a result of our inability on the left to unite and set out clear alternatives. The political hegemony of the right ensures that nothing really changes and that elites and capital are always protected. Socialist dialogue and socialist struggle have been weak in Ireland. It was snuffed out in favour of a bourgeois nationalism. Our task is to build from the ground up, to educate, to agitate, not to do for those what they could do for themselves, but to build a movement that is capable and confident and grows with every victory. That is why it's vital that we complete the victory in the water campaign. I believe this is possible. I believe there is a real thirst for change. As capitalism sinks further into its crisis, it must be the revolutionary principles of liberty, equality and fraternity which emerges. And finally, in the words of Wolfe Tone himself, we will free ourselves by the aid of that large and respectable class of the community, men of no property.
Thank you, Thomas. We're now coming towards the end of our commemoration. I had a few words to finalise that said that why the Forum has convened or called for this united demonstration to honour Wolfe Tone is that we need to face many challenges today. The challenge to end British imposed partition, to assert the sovereignty, democracy and independence of the Irish people, to break the triple lock of imperialist domination of the British, the European Union and the United States. These imperialist blocs decide our fate and the fate of our people. It's the interests of the giant finance houses, bankers and industrialists and transnational corporations that decide our fate. The Forum was established to create the basis on which we discussed and debate to end this domination. That task can only be realised by the politicisation, mobilisation of the people of no property, the working class. We must find the ways and the means to bind the wounds of the hurt and past divisions experienced by our people. We as revolutionaries cannot leave it to others to be true to the goals of the principles of Wolfe Tone, Henry Joy McCracken, Jimmy Hope, Russell and others. We must lead the struggle for unity among the people. Our starting point is to point out that the institutions imposed by partition have failed the working people. These failed institutions have fostered division, bigotry, domination that has blighted the lives of millions of our fellow citizens from Antrim to Cork, from Galway to Dublin. We have lived the nightmare of the carnival of reaction that partition has heaped upon our people. That is only the people of no property, the working class, that can be the only guarantors of freedom and independence for our country, for our people. I'll finish off with the words of James Connolly when in 1798, when they were honouring the 100th anniversary of the United Irishmen. He was writing in the Workers' Republic on the 13th of August. And he said of Tone, his birth did not create his hatred of the British Constitution, but only intensified it. Like Mitchell, 50 years later, he held ideas on the political and social order, such as would have made him a rebel, even if he'd been an Englishman. In fact, in this fact lay his strength and the secret of his enthusiasm. We who hold his principles cherish his memory all the more on that account, believing as we do that any movement which would successfully grapple with the problems of national freedom must draw its inspiration not from mouldering records of buried past, but from the growing hopes of a living present, the vast possibilities of a mighty future. When the hour of the social revolution at length strikes, and the revolutionary lava now pent up and the socialist movement finally overflows and submerges the kings and classes who have ruled and ruined the world. High up on the utmost niches of the Temple of Liberty, the human race will erect to the heroes and martyrs who have watered the tree of liberty with the blood of their body and the sweat of their intellect. Side by side with Washington and others of the other lands, our grateful Irish people will carve the name of our precursor, Theobald Wolfe Tone, the man whose virtues we can only honour by imitation of the Socialist Republic, will yet honour his principles by realisation. Thank you all for coming. And now we'll have a lowering of the tricolour. We'll finish off now with the national anthem.
Shinna Fina Fall, Atafri Alligerin, Windar Slew, Katindorani Kun, Fay White Veser, Shantir Shinsher Fasta, the Hagfar, Winter on Nafwentall, on Uplands of Arnowell, the Ganner Gill on Thoshnose, the Gannies Greg, Wheelar and Abdelair, Shalit Gannigar